This story is called Schlemiel and Schlimazel. I'm going to tell you two stories that illustrate the difference between a Schlemiel and a Schlimazel. The first story is from a TV show called Taxi with Danny DeVito and Judd Hirsch. Danny DeVito tells Judd Hirsch a story about the difference between a Schlemiel and a Schlimazel. Here's what he said. He said, a Schlemiel is a guy who goes to a $100 a plate dinner and spills his soup on the guy next to him. A Schlimazel is the guy who gets the soup spilled on his lap. That's the difference between a Schlemiel and a Schlimazel. I read an article that a guy wrote years ago about his mother. His mother told him a story. She said, this is the difference between a Schlemiel and a Schlimazel. Here's the story she told him. When she was young, in her 20s or late teens, she went out on a date. They were in Pittsburgh, I believe. It was in the winter. And she met this guy, and they went to a restaurant. When they got to the restaurant, the guy, the date, took off his coat. He had a long, like an overcoat on, like a trench coat. And he took his coat, and he put it on the coat rack. There was no check-in, there was no coat check. It was just people put their coats on the rack. At the end of the dinner, they went to the coat rack, took his coat, he put it on, and they started walking toward his car. And it was maybe 2 or 3 blocks to get to his car. As they were walking, a car drove past them, hit a puddle, and splashed the guy with dirty street water that came from snow which had melted, which is the most disgusting water there is. And this guy got soaked with this dirty street water. And he looks down at his jacket and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. He starts to take his jacket off to get a better look at the damage. And he realizes, he comes to the realization that this was not his coat. This was somebody else's coat that looked just like his coat. So the two of them decided they were going to go back to the restaurant and they were going to put the dirty, wet, stinky coat back on the coat rack and take his coat and leave. They didn't even tell anybody that it happened. So they took his coat and his real coat and they left. And the mom said, that's the difference between a Schlemiel and a Schlimazel. The Schlemiel was the guy who got splashed from the street with dirty water, and a Schlimazel is the guy whose coat he was wearing when he got splashed. So there's the difference between a Schlemiel and a Schlimazel. Don't forget to read my book, Broccoli Time, by Dante Allen, available now on Amazon Books.